Hi friends, welcome back to our new tutorial. Till now, we were taking the input directly and after doing some required operations, we were showing the output directly on console. Practically, during programming, we don't always get input directly. We use some file that works as input data to our code. Similarly, it is not always sufficient to display the outcome data only on the console. Mostly, the output data is very large and cannot be displayed on console. In such scenarios, we may store input and output data as a local file, which can be accessed whenever required. Here comes the need of file handling. In this tutorial, we will learn all about Python file handling techniques, in which we will cover how to create a file, how to open a file, closing a file, and writing and appending to a file, etc. Let's begin with how to open a file. Python provides open function to open a file. We have already talked about this method in previous tutorial, in which we discussed Python OS module. This method accepts two arguments, file name and mode in which the file is accessed. It returns a file object which can be used to perform various operations like reading from a file, writing to a file, etc. Let's look at this simple example and open a file, file.txt stored in same directory as current working directory in read mode. Here, character R represents that we have accessed the file in read mode. Let's run this code, and if you want to check whether this file is successfully opened or not, you can validate it using if condition like this. Let me run this code. You see, we have opened the file successfully. Now, let's say if we want to display its content on the console, we should access each line of this text file using a loop. Let's write a for loop to read all lines of this file. Let me run this code. That's how we can read a file line by line. But if you want to display all content of the file at once, you can use Python read method like this. Let me again open this file in read mode because the file pointer have already reached to end of the file. You can see read function is used to display all the content at once. Now, if you want to write some text to a file, you can open a file in two modes. Now let's see what are those modes. First is append mode. In this mode, file pointer points at the end of the file and so it appends the text at the end of the existing file. This mode creates a new file if no file exists. Second is write mode. In this mode, file pointer points at the beginning of the file and hence it will override the existing file. Let's discuss append mode first. Let me open this file in append mode. Here character A means that we are going to open this file in append mode. Now let's append some text to this file. We use write function to add content to any file in both the modes, be it append mode or write mode. Now let me run this code and check again the content of this file by accessing it in read mode. You see, we have appended the text successfully at the end of the file. Here this number 61 tells about file pointer location, which we will discuss later in this tutorial. Now let's discuss write mode. If we open the file in write mode, now again let's use write function to write some content to this file. Let me run this code, and because the file is open in write mode, let me open the file again in read mode and check its content. You see, we have overwritten the existing file. Previous content is removed. That is because file pointer in write mode points at the beginning of the file, and in case of append mode, it points at the end of the file. Hope now you would have understood both the modes and difference between them. In append mode, we append content to the existing file, but in write mode, we overwrite existing file with new content. It's a standard practice to close a file after performing necessary operations. You can close a file like this. You can also create a new file using open method. There are 3 modes to create a file using this function. Let's understand them. These are the 3 modes to create a new file using open method. Mode X. It creates a new file with the specified name. It throws an error if a file exists with the same name. Mode A. It creates a new file with the specified name if no such file exists. It appends the content to the file if the file already exists with the same name. Mode W. It creates a new file with the specified name if no such file exists. It overwrites the existing file. We have already discussed mode W and A. Now let's see an example of mode X. Let me change the name of new file to file2.txt and change the mode from R to X. If I run this code and check the current working directory path, you see file2.txt is created. You can also use with statement for file handling in Python. With statement was introduced in Python 2.5 and Python developers use it very frequently in manipulating the files. Let's understand it. This is the general syntax of with statement. Here also we pass 2 arguments, file name and access mode respectively, to generate a file pointer. Now let me comment this line and read the same file using this approach. If I run this code, you see with statement is another method to read a file. It reads the file line by line. Python provides inbuilt methods to access and modify file pointer locations dynamically. Let's understand them as well. We use Python tell method to print the byte number at which the file pointer exists. Let's take an example to understand it better. Let's open the same file in read mode. If you check position of file pointer now, it will point to position 0 because you have not read any line as of now. Let's check this assumption. That's obvious. Now if you read content of this file, and check the position of file pointer, it points at the end of the file because Python read method reads entire content simultaneously. Not only checking the position of file pointer, sometimes we need to change the file pointer location externally. since we may need to read or write the content at various locations. For this purpose, Python provides seek method to modify the file pointer position externally. Now let's change the file pointer position to say 10. Though it automatically shows the file pointer location, you can also validate it using tell method. Well friends, that's all about file handling in Python. In the next tutorial, we will separately discuss how we handle CSV files in Python, because practically in most of the cases you will use CSV file as input or output data. Thanks for watching the tutorial. If you have any questions or comments, please let us know down in the comment section. Please subscribe the channel and do not forget to press the bell icon to get instant update about our new tutorial.